I shift subjects quite often. I was on the fake reality bubble. That should have hit some people pretty good. Now I'm on the toxic stuff. Is it toxic? Are they toxic? Is the corporation toxic? Is the news toxic? Is the media toxic? Is the music toxic? Is it toxic? And the overarching answer is 99% yeah. It's sad. I asked AI, I said, can you give me top 10 traits of a toxic relationship? Now, I can even throw the churches in there. Are the churches toxic most of the time? What are they run by? That's what I mean. If you really do some meditation, you really think about it. In my lifetime, I probably lived 10 different lives, different in-laws, outlaws, being around different people, families, just going to visit people, friends, and just watching and observing. While, I was sincerely, trying to be friends with people, but I would watch them, and it might be a deacon from the church, or it might be a friend from the church, and you watch how they're relating to their spouse, and you're like, this is a little bit toxic, So it's not just one-to-one. It could be work. I've had 120 jobs in my life. I've always worked 2 or 3 jobs. Go to college break, summer break, you work, might take a different job, paid more money or something. And so you watch work environments, home environments, church environments, social environments, online environments. Online is pretty much toxic, I could understand people wanting to censor some toxic comments and stuff. I could understand that. But when they try to censor the truth, because the truth is telling the truth about your toxic news and toxic chemicals and toxic medical and toxic education system. That's why I say go to Instagram. They're not censoring it like YouTube is. So I Googled, I used AI. I said, what are the 10 traits of toxic? And then I said, what are the 20 traits of toxic? And I Googled the sins of Revelation 2 and 3. The toxic sins of Revelation 2 and 3. And then I said, I know nobody's perfect. So can you redo the list, knowing that no human is perfect and no situation and no environment is 100% perfect? Not justifying the toxic behavior, but can you redo the list? I've had the opportunity to see situations where there was a healthy environment pretty much, and then somebody comes in and tries to mess that environment up and bring it into toxicity. But I've also seen the people that want the healthy environment push the other one either out the door, or they straighten up and start to act right, Because when somebody comes into an environment that people have done the work and they actually try to be healthy around other people and not toxic, the others that are wanting to be toxic, they have to straighten up or leave, And so it would be great if a church, somebody asked about church, if a church could be a healthy place, yeah, but a church usually ends up being toxic just like everything else. And a church will do just like a corporation. They will bleed you dry if you let them. You'll be working your fingers off for the church, the building. I don't even want to call it the church, it's for the building. And forget to even seek God. You know, I mean, think about this. When you got a church that's talking about they want to build you up and make you healthy, wealthy, wise, and they want you to be seeking God and serving God and all that. But the whole time you're so busy that you forget to have any kind of relationship with God, any kind of Bible study on your own, any kind of meditation or prayer on your own, because you're so busy with your job and your church and your kids and your family and all that. It's toxic. It's pulling you away from God instead of to God. And you can understand how they their motive might be pure. Who knows? Who knows what their motive is? The love of money is usually the root of all evil. Most people's motive. And then you got people who don't want to work, and that's toxic. People who don't want to do their duty, that's toxic. You call them out on it, and they call you toxic. You got in-laws and outlaws that are toxic, trying to run your, let's say you're the head of your house, you're the man, you're the head of the house, and then you got a mother-in-law trying to tell you how to run your house, or your brother-in-law, or your sister-in-law, or your mother-in-law, mom, dad, people trying to tell you how to run your own house, and they're not healthy. They're toxic. It blows your mind. It totally blows your mind how you can go to one environment. I eat out all the time. I go to a lot of restaurants, and I'll sit down and I'll just observe. The way people talk, what they talk about, it's usually toxic. You sit beside somebody or you sit across at one table and you're listening to conversation, it's all toxic. The whole thing is toxic. So that's why I told E, I said, well, nobody's perfect. How can you redo this list? Because there's nobody perfect. They got this car show right over here in this parking lot. Everybody's just walking around looking at cars, I mean, a lot of people. I mean, I should take a video of this. You wouldn't believe it. It's just a little parking lot, and there's like people walking around. Have you ever had toxic friends, toxic spouse, toxic family, toxic work environment, toxic, I worked at this industrial plant one time, about 3 years, and you talk about toxic. It was hot and cold, and it was just greasy and dirty and everything else. And I did the Uber ride a year ago. I said, is that plant still just because the guy who was kind of working, traveling, helping them get it going, redoing it or something? He said, no, they cleaned it up. It's really nice. You go in there and it's really clean. I said, the bathroom was so bad when you worked there, you didn't even want to go in the bathroom, Toxic. No matter where you go, you see toxic stuff. What can you do about it? It's a war for your mind and your soul. I cut off one podcast, more than one, many. About 6 months ago, a year ago, I cut one off And I said, I got all the information I needed to know from that person. And there's some good information, but everything out of their mouth was toxic. A bunch of curse words. Everything out of their mouth was just curse. And people say, well, there's nothing wrong with cursing. Well, why is it called a curse word? Come on, people. There's nothing wrong with saying curse words. Why is it called a curse? Stupid. Are you stupid? Well, Book, what you just said, calling somebody stupid is toxic. Exactly. That's my point. That's the whole point about this message. How you wake somebody up who's toxic without being toxic with them. That's what I'm saying. When you rub shoulders with people, when you're yoked up with toxic, how do you escape it? That's the whole point of this talk. I just hadn't got there yet. You marry somebody and you think, oh, I married a healthy person. She's got it going on. And then one day, then you start to see a pattern. You're in there sleeping. You worked 12 hours. You worked hard, and you're in there sleeping, and she starts slamming doors, slamming cabinet doors. You get up. You say, why are you slamming cabinet doors? What's wrong? Are you trying to mess up my sleep? And the answer was yes, because it was an MK Ultra mind game. It was a narcissistic, psychopathic mind game, trying to make you upset and angry, so that they could go and say, oh, they're angry. They said this mean to me. Let me get all my toxic flying monkeys to attack, because I want to usurp the home and I want to be the man of the home. I don't want this man to rule over me. I want to rule over him. Jezebel. Toxic. I saw the red flags ahead of time, but I chose to step into it. Because if look, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat the other person up, because they were probably raised in a toxic environment, and all they know is toxic, but they think it's normal, because when the abnormal becomes normal, that's a dangerous place. And the only way you're going to fight it is stay in the Word. Stay in the Word. And that's how a lot of toxic churches will get you. Well, you better you need to come to church, because you get out of that Word, it's going to be a problem. Well, wait a minute. So you want me so busy at the church that I don't have time to read my Bible myself and stay in the Word and memorize verses and renew my mind, and I'm so stressed at work and church and family and all that, you don't want me to have any kind of quiet time for myself? Toxic. The whole shebang is toxic. I got this guy tailgating me right now. It's a girl. It's a female. Tailgating me. I put the flashes on. Now she's holding her hands up at me like I'm the bad guy, and I'm doing the speed limit. Well, I was doing a little bit under the speed limit, but there was a stoplight. I'm way ahead of her. She changed lanes, and I'm still in front of her. What's that about? She's trying to be a speed demon. Speed demon. She's toxic. She's a toxic driver. Let's see if this guy's going to be toxic. It's like, let's see what he's going to do. They're in a hurry to get somewhere, and they ain't going nowhere, because there's another car in front of me and there's a stoplight ahead. It's like, come on, what's wrong with you drivers? And I'm not mad, because I used to be like them. These preachers get up there, these legalistic preachers get up there and say, they hit the podium, and they're legalistic preachers, and they're just as guilty. You go visit their house and you see They got the TV running, they got the radio, they're tied to the world, and they're sitting there acting like they're not, and they are. They're tied to the system. It's like, come on, man. Why are you even up there preaching? You're just as toxic as everybody else. And the reason, the deal is this, people. It's like, okay. Like I said, everything's a box, everything's a cube, everything's a box life. So you get in these denominational boxes, you get in these family boxes, you get in these corporate boxes, and it becomes like you start to quantum connect with people you rub shoulders with or whatever. You know, you could have renters, you could have rental property, you could have a landlord that's toxic, you could have renters that are toxic. Most people are. And you've got a bunch of people who think they're normal, but they're abnormal. They think they're doing right, but they're toxic. The things that they're doing is selfish, narcissistic. It's all about me. They want you to sacrifice for them, but they never sacrifice. I mean, you know everything that's going on because you've seen it from a child. And if you play the tit for tat, you know, that's pulls you into toxicity, and you just want to walk away from them. You just want to walk away. You want to cut them off and walk away and not be around them anymore. And you do that for a while. You do that for 5 years. That becomes toxic because you're not doing your duty down here to give out, just to integrate and give out the gospel and give out the good news. So how do you stay healthy in a toxic society? And no matter what country you go to, it's toxic because people are toxic. What's the common denominator from all the churches, all the corporations, all the relationships, all the families, all the in-laws, the outlaws, all the podcasts? What's the common denominator? People. People. When you wake up to the fact that you have been, the food was toxic, the news was toxic, the medical was toxic, everything around you, the information that was given to you in school and even college and all, it was all lies and toxic. When you wake up to that fact, you start to isolate yourself for a while, and you start to get away as much as possible. It's not always possible. And then you start to get into a stoic mindset. I mean, to be honest with you, the flesh is nothing but sin, right? So the energy of the flesh, the old Adam, the old Eve, is nothing but sin. It's toxic. And if a person doesn't understand about taking up their cross and loving their neighbor as themselves, it's going to stay toxic. It's going to continually be toxic. And if you got people around, let's say people integrate into your world, try to integrate into your world, and all they've known is serious. I mean, when you got people who have been into the drugs, the drinking, the sorcery, the witchcraft, the fighting, the anger, the jail, the stuff that puts you in jail, and maybe they escaped jail, but they probably should have been in jail. And I mean, everybody around them's trouble with a capital T, and they try to integrate into somebody who's pretty much said, I'm just going to live healthy, you know. Financially, try to be healthy, mentally, spiritually, in every way possible. Fasting, prayer, Bible study, and you walk into a room and everything in the room is toxic. The room of people, they can put on a fake smile, but you know deep down they're talking about you behind your back, making up lies and everything else. And it's like, okay, These people don't have my back. This person don't have my back. It's all about them. It's never about helping. They want you to help them, but they don't want to help you. On and on and on. I could talk for 10 hours on this. I've observed it. You tell people, you say, you know that smoking is bad for you, right? It'll kill you, give you lung cancer. Yeah, I know. Well, have you tried to stop? Because you're hurting yourself. Have you tried to stop? No, I don't want to stop. Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. I thought you wanted to be healthy. If they're toxic to their own self, they're going to be toxic to you. When I was a kid, you go to a restaurant, people could smoke in the restaurant, and they just blow smoke in your face and just laugh about it. They thought it was funny. They didn't actually laugh, but they just have that smile, that smirk, you know. They blast music in your ear as toxic to take away your peace, because you like peace, you know. Toxic, 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 toxic. They get in your car, ride share, and they smell like a vape and make the whole car smell like a vape. They throw trash in the floor that they eat in your car. Breadcrumbs everywhere. They eat in your car. And you just vacuumed your car. I could list 1,000 toxic things that I see on a regular basis, and you're sitting there trying to treat them with respect, and you're trying to pull them up out of their toxicity. And sometimes you call people out on it. They might pull you into a toxic situation that you thought they were free, but they were never free. You really are dealing with an environment, a society that's toxic. When you turn the radio on, it's toxic. When you turn the TV on, which if you have one, throw it out the back door. Take a shotgun to the TV and just blow it out to smithereens. Because there's toxic stuff coming across. If you read Galatians 5:19, 20, 21, that's the flesh. Toxic. It's toxic. And everybody's looking for toxic. This is what I'm saying. I had a series, everybody loves the death cult, right? They love the toxic. They love death. Until something clicks in their mind. Something clicks in their spirit, their mind, their heart, and they realize the whole system has tried to get you used to being in a toxic environment instead of a normal. You're being boiled like a frog in a pan, and you don't even know you're being boiled. And so you think, okay, this person seems to be healthy, and they try to integrate into your world, and then you realize it's all about them. And then you start to look at the little data points, and you say, oh, it's all about them. It's not about the other person. It's always been about them. Go away for a while, and they try to get back in. Okay, there's been some improvement, but it's still all about them. It's still toxic. You cut off communication with your in-laws, and your wife gets mad, and you say, well, they're toxic. I can't deal with that. They're religious but lost. They're believing Pentecostal lies. They're sick. Everything out of their mouth is painted face, fake reality. They're fake. If they got a painted face, fake reality, and not even real, that's toxic. Most people don't even know what I'm saying because they've been so indoctrinated into the death cult, into the fake reality bubbles, into the Genesis 3 lie, into the music, into the media, into their little box. So like I say, when you go into a box, it could be a family, it could be a church, it could be a business, whatever, it turns into a cult. Why? Because everybody's walking in the flesh and not in the spirit. Go across the street, knock on the door, go in there and sit and talk to your neighbors for a while and watch them interact. And you'll see it's a cult. They have these weird things going on. The way they talk to people. It's really, seriously. Stick around long enough before somebody loses it, says something off the roof, you know. So my next, I've actually trained AI to think holographically. I've trained AI to think like the fractal hologram. So my next project is to ask AI, okay, look, no matter what box I go to, business, no matter where you go visit a family, a business, a church, a podcast, it turns into some cult leader trying to be toxic. It's ridiculous. They can never see their blind spot. They just can't see it. I don't care if it's Jordan Peterson. I don't care if it's Joe Rogan. I don't care if it's Alex Jones. I don't care what it is. I mean, think about it. Alex Jones' wife left, calling him all these names, and she's a liberal. I understand. I don't even know why they're together. Why they were together. He's conservative. She's liberal. They should have. How did they ever get together? You know. But when you're young, things like that happen. So there was a separation. But have they dealt with that ripping, that tearing? Anytime there's a divorce, anytime there's a separation, there's a ripping, there's a tearing, and there's deep-seated things that people haven't dealt with. And the only way you're going to deal with them is get by yourself and say, I can't blame everybody else. I have to look at myself, you know. Somebody was telling me yesterday, I think, she said she had to call somebody out on their behavior, and they actually apologized. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, that happened to me. I had to call somebody out on their toxic stuff, and they changed. There's some change. There's some good change going on. There's some shifting going on. But what's the purpose of this audio? What's the purpose? Have we let the abnormal become normal? Have we got used to the toxic environment? It's kind of like if you go into a building and it's got a bunch of chemicals and you're breathing all those chemicals, but then you got used to it and you just keep going in the building with all the bad chemicals that are bad for you. And you're breathing all those bad chemicals and it just becomes normal. And you're killing yourself. It's an attack on your soul. Some people are doing it on purpose. The narcissist, the Jezebel, the evil person, the evil woman, the evil man. Why are they attacking your soul? Why are they trying to get you to love the death cult? Hollywood's doing it. The reason they want to get you to love the death cult because they're trying to indoctrinate you like boiling of frogs, little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit. And so that indoctrination is real and it's happening 24/7. I'm trying to wake you up that if the music's toxic, the TV, the news, the media, the YouTube, the technology, the all the stuff that you're scrolling, it's all toxic. The emails, they're putting these ads, they're attacking your soul, your mind, your heart. And I'm telling you, just to be aware of it. And somebody who steps into your world, I mean, if you're going home every day and you're walking on eggshells and there's always fighting and arguing and craziness, it's toxic. You're going to have to leave to save your soul, to save your sanity. Seriously. If it's all about them and never about you, and it's all about them and you focusing on them, does that sound healthy? If a relationship's all about one person and they're all selfish and there's all about them and me, and take, and vampire off of you, but they never give back, is that healthy or toxic? You tell me. Why are you putting up with it? Are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Do you worship yourself or something? The greatest among you is a servant. Serve one another. Why do you want your feet washed, but you don't want to wash feet? Allegorically, metaphorically. Why do you want your feet washed, but you never want to wash feet? Are you toxic? Has the society, has life, has your own flesh mind turned you into a toxic creature and you don't even know it? You're in an environment that's toxic and you don't even know it. You're in the death cult and don't even know it. It's sad. I had to start cutting people off one by one. And then when certain ones try to get back in, I try the spirits. And if it's toxic, I say, bye-bye, adios. Because I know that it's a game. It's very subtle. They're trying to mess you up because they're messed up. You know, you might say, well, I don't think they're intending to do it. Well, I told you it's a copy machine. They're trying to make copies of themselves. You as a believer, you're pointing people to Jesus because you want to see people become like Jesus. But the toxic, unhealthy, unsaved, flesh creatures, selfish, whatever, they might even be saved as by fire, but they still they want you to play in the pig pen with them. When that rebellious son in the Bible, he left his healthy home with his dad, he went into the pig pen. He ended up working at the pig pen. Now think about that. His dad didn't follow him. His brother didn't follow him. He went out and he left his home rebellious, and he went and ended up in the pig pen. Nobody followed him in the pig pen. He finally woke up. But most people are not waking up. You've been living in the pig pen. And you think it's normal. And you want everybody to come in the pig pen with you. And the ones who don't and call you out on it and say, get right, come back when you get right. The irony behind it is a lot of people get mad at people for the very thing they're doing. And when you call them out on it, they can't see it. I told you about the time I was married. The wife, this girl across the street, she was probably like 18. And she looked out the door and said, she's pregnant and she's not married. I looked her in the eye, I said, you did it. She couldn't see it. She couldn't see it. She couldn't see her own reflection. I said, why are you mad at her? You did it. One time, another marriage. Sad. It's sad that you have to have more than one marriage. It's really sad to go through the problems, to go through it, to wake yourself up, and also that she said, this is virtue signaling to the hilt. What I'm going to tell you is so much virtue signaling, it's off the roof. Went to church, and everybody says, we're going to boycott Kmart because of whatever they were doing at the time, a long time ago. And we left church. She said, we're going to boycott Kmart, right? I said, if you want to, that's fine. It's just a business, but go ahead. Whatever you want, yeah, that's fine. If you want to, that's cool. So the next morning, she said, we need some toothpaste. I said, okay, we'll go over. Where do you want to go? I don't even know if Walmart was a thing back then. She said, well, Kmart's right around the corner. I looked at her. I said, wait a minute. I said, okay, so you're going to boycott Kmart until you need something. And you don't want to spend the gas to go an extra 2 miles because it's right nearby. So you telling all your friends and your mom and your daddy and all the church people that you're going to boycott Kmart because everybody else was, but it's not really in your heart. You don't really believe it. And I didn't go that extreme telling her. I just looked her in the eye, and she knew I saw through her, you know. I looked her in the eye and said, I thought you were going to boycott Kmart. And she got mad. This one girl I was dating one time, we were in the drive-thru, and I said, well, that's not what you said. You're pretty much lying. You're flat out lying. And her eyes looking at me, it's like she wanted to kill me, right? It's like a demon took her over. She opened the door and ran out the door. And went out and ran into the woods. And I looked around, she was walking down the road. She was so scared that somebody called her out on her fake reality. I was nice. I said, you know that line that you're doing, or blah, 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 or, you know, shocked that I could see the lies, shocked that I called her out on her lies. Totally shocked. She really had the eyes of murder in her mind. Seriously. Because her schemes were unraveling. All her schemes were unraveling. And there was a lot of schemes going on. That's what I say. If you get in the Word, you can just listen. If you can rightly divide the word of truth, you can listen to people's words, and you can pierce their heart by their own words. You can see their heart by their own words. You can see their motives. You can see their games. You can see their attack. You can tell if they really, how is it possible that, I've seen this so many times, a woman will show up and says, I love you. Okay, listen, all right. Love you too. Let's try this. Okay, let's try this. Let's see. Let's just try the spirits. Let's see if you really know what love is. And what you usually find out is they don't know real love. And if love was in their face, right in their face, they wouldn't know it. And real love for somebody, they don't know it. They're so used to toxic that they don't know the real love. And I guess that's why a lot of people don't get saved, and they start questioning God because they've been in a death cult, a toxic society, relationships, whatever, family, bloodlines, in-laws, outlaws, jobs, corporations, legalistic churches, fake churches, cults, and isms. And so they've been surrounded by fake love their whole life. When Jesus shows up on the scene and somebody's preaching Jesus, they don't believe it because they're so used to fake. They can't, when the real shows up, if the real slapped them in the face, they still wouldn't believe it because of the toxic environment. The death cult, aka Your body's going back to the grave 6 foot under, 666. And so the cube system that you're in, I don't care if it's a, like I say, whatever cube is, denominational box, cube, family cube, in-law cube, everybody's so used to fake and no love. And so when they do find somebody that loves them, their whole demeanor is selfish and they can't believe somebody has real love, so they don't even believe it's real. They've never seen it before. They've never experienced real love because the whole shebang is fake plastic, and it's all cults and isms and sorcery and witchcraft and the flesh, the world, the flesh, and the pride of life. Me. It's all about me. It's all about money. Sex, drugs, alcohol, party, gallivanting, running the streets, lying. What else do they say? You got to get them before they get you. Get all you want. I'm living the dream. Anybody says I'm living the dream, you are in a dream. You're probably drugged out of your mind because this ain't no. Yeah, it's like a dream. Till you get to heaven, this is just a semblance. But if you enjoy this dream with all the sin and the death and the crime and the murder and the pain and the people living in delusions and greediness, and they take care of a dog but they don't take care of a human. Seriously. I lived it. So you got this stray dog and you want to take it to the vet. But last week, sweetie pie, I was sick, but you didn't want to take me to the doctor. You didn't want to take me to the doctor, but you want me to take your pet that you got off the side of the road, but I didn't want, to the doctor. Sick. It's sick. I'm telling you. I promise you it's sick. You rent to somebody before they get in. I say, okay, this is the situation. This is how much it is. Can you afford it? Yes. The first month's fine. Next month, always an excuse. Excuse. Toxic. I deal with toxic every day. People walk up to you or get in your car and say some of the most bizarre stuff in the world and want you to take them and buy them some cigarettes or go buy them some, take them to get a vape or get their beer, but they're not disciplined enough to be independent because they just vampire off everybody else. Toxic. Completely toxic environment that you're in. And to get away from it, you go home and you try to watch some podcast, and about halfway through they start slowly bowling the frog, talking about toxic stuff, and you think it's okay. I promise you, if you really wake up to what I'm trying to tell you, everything around you is toxic. And almost all relationships, unless they've done the inner work, unless they're serious about, walking in truth, walking in love. If you ever deal with a bunch of witches, they'll say it's all love. And then you say, well, there's no love without truth. There's no love without truth. It's fake love. You want to be your own goddess. You want to be worshipped. You want to be your own goddess. You want to set your own boundaries and your own reality and your own bubble. And you want to be like Wanda, the witch, who she wanted her kids died, so she wanted her kids back. She wanted to create a multiverse and go in there and steal somebody else's kids. And when she did finally do it, the kids say, "You're not my mom. You're not my mom." toxic. I got this dude walking down the street in the neighborhood. It's like, what is he doing? He's not exercising. He's looking to steal something, it looks like. The fighting and arguing in front of the kids, the drinking and drugging and partying in front of the kids, that's toxic. And your kids are going to be toxic, and they're just going to be an offspring of you. You're actually going to see the offspring of what you created in those children. Because you're toxic. Look at Adam and Eve. They had Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel. The story started right there. The righteous trying to help the unrighteous step into reality, and when they do it, they try to kill them because they don't want to. Look, when you call somebody out on their fake reality, they want to kill you. It might not be literally, but they want to shut you down and shut you up because they don't want to change. They think they're okay. And those kind of people usually hate God. They hate the Bible. They want their own Bible. They want their own God, namely themselves. And everything that you watch on YouTube or online, if you listen to it long enough, you'll start to see that it's nothing but an indoctrination to make you think that you can be your own God. How can I conclude this? How can I conclude this? If everybody has dealt with toxicity, whether they want to admit it or not, how do you function down here? All these channels with the gurus sitting up there at the front just doing meditation there, and a lot of people go there. And they're usually dressed real nice, and they go there. And he's just saying, be aware of your inner man and all that stuff. What are those people trying to do? They're trying to get away from the toxic environment. Right? But hopefully they realize they're the toxic environment. You put the boundaries, you make sure you're not toxic. And then when you figure that out, how to do that and speak right to other people, then you set some boundaries up. And when the people who are toxic try to cross those boundaries, you might have 10 boundaries. You let them cross one, then you let them cross another one, and then you start to see, okay, that's it. The gate is up, the fence is up, the boundary's up. You're not going to cross. Do not pass go. Another one will show up. There are always another one going to show up. It always happens. Don't be mad. Don't be bitter. Don't, stay in the Word. Renew your mind. Do the inner work. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing your mind. Forgive Paul went to the third heaven. He came back and he pretty much said, hey, he was looking at the Corinthian church, the Ephesus, and he looked at all those churches and he came to the conclusion, just forgive one another. Because he realized everybody down here is toxic. Or have been in a toxic relationship or environment, and they have these things that's these issues that are like so ingrained, these strongholds that are so ingrained because they've been in it for 20, 30, 40 years, and they're trying to get healthy, but it's so ingrained with them. It feels like impossible, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. You just have to start cutting the strings, cutting the ties, cutting off the noise. It's insanity, to be honest with you. Ask yourself, why were you drawn to that toxic person if you could see that they were toxic? Now, sometimes people put on a fake show, you know. I guess that dude's walking around the neighborhood looking for drugs or something. I don't know if you made it this far, but if you did, you're probably one who wants to be free. I don't even know if I can say the word toxicity, I guess is how you say it. You want to be free from all the toxicity. And I promise you, when you really set your mind to be healthy, body, soul, spirit, things from the old life will try to appear and will test you. You will be tested. And you will almost fall right back into it. And you probably will for a spell. But you wake up and say, oh, that's not even me anymore. That person's gone. That person's dead. That person don't exist anymore. Why am I even in this? Why am I even close to this? It don't smell good. It don't feel good. It don't sound good. And it don't look good. Let me get away from this. And my vibe is off. My flow is off. My vibe is off. Let me get away from this. And you might say, well, yeah, but I love them. So you love toxicity, huh? If you love toxicity, something wrong. It's not real love. And to finish it all off, calling somebody out on their toxic stuff, you know, is okay. You're not being toxic. You're trying to shake them out of their reality, you know. You've left that old life. You've stepped into the new life. They're still in the old life. They're still in the fake reality. They're still in the toxic. They're still their temple, whatever they're doing, they don't realize their body is a temple, and so they're still in the toxic. And they want you to revel with them. They want you to run the streets with them. They want you to go to the bars with them. They want you to be in the secret life with them. They want you to be in their painted face reality with them, their fake reality. And you just can't do it. You have to say to yourself, are your affections above with God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, the saints in heaven? Are your affections above or are your affections below? Well, what am I going to do? How do I stay busy? Work, start your own business, create something, build something, remodel something, hobby, whatever. Create a business, focus on that. Well, what about those that are still lost? Reach a hand out. Try to pull some out. If some want to come out, fine. If the other ones don't, that's their choice. It's their choice. But they're going to pull you down. They're going to try to make you into a copy of them. They don't want to be healthy. Body, soul, spirit. So they're going to try to make you into a copy of them. You better set up some boundaries. You better set up some walls. Because somebody's going to win this battle, because it's a copy machine. If the Holy Spirit's in you, He's going to keep pulling you up. And you're going to, if you're divided, do I follow God or do I follow this person? Do I follow God or I step into this person's fake reality bubble? God ain't going to let you stay in their fake bubble, I promise you. So might as well just face off with it, look at it, admit it, deal with it, and say, okay, I'm done. Why is it painful to leave the death cult? Why is it painful to leave the death cult? Because you believed a lie. When Neo was leaving the Matrix, and Morpheus showed him the truth, he fell down. He was about to have a nervous breakdown. Because he saw that his reality, his toxic death cult, fake bubble reality wasn't even real. And everybody around him was not even real. They don't even know what love is. They're not real. They're running on a program. It was like a dream. And because they didn't step into the spirit realm, the spirit walk, they're all walking in the flesh. They're all walking on programs of fear, the past, bitterness, upset. The past don't exist. The reason you age is because you're living in the past. Cut the past off and live in the now. That support group that was supposed to be there for you, where are they? Can you call them? Can they call you? Can you talk to them? Can you reach out and grab hold of them? No. Because it's online fake reality. Are you trying to vampire off of people? Or are you trying to keep yourself? I mean, listen to the noise in the background. The guy's muffler. I'm walking in the store and people are watching you. Vagabonds watching you walk in the store, see what they can steal. I mean, come on. It's toxic, people. It's toxic.